Welcome to the Hero's Journey podcast, where we share stories of hope, healing, and resilience. I am your host, Gianna. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we have another very special guest, magical queen, Fallon Lev. Fallon, thank you for being here.
Thank you, beautiful. So happy to be here.
Fallon and I have known each other for over 10 years now. We met through a yoga studio we both taught at many moons ago. I used to check in for her 4 p.m. hot yoga classes every Wednesday. I loved her then and I adore her now. In addition to being one of the most amazing dynamic yoga teachers for the past 10 years, Fallon is also an online personal branding coach. Her love language is helping other women feel seen, confident, and celebrated. At the baseline of everything she does, her mission is to help you shine from the inside out. Fallon, you are such an inspiration to many. Your light truly does shine so bright, and I am so honored to know you and for you to share your inspiring hero's journey with us today. This story is also very dear to Eric and I because we were a part of it, and we just love you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for just making me feel like $1,000,000. I love words of affirmation and I could just eat them up all day. So thank you. I feel very seen in your presence.
Thank you, my dear. Yes, I know that about you. So I definitely spent some time rewording and writing that. So thank you for receiving our love. So, Fallon, you have such an inspiring story, as I mentioned. Let's kind of go back to around the time, take us back to around the time on your life's journey, leading up to this life-changing event. Who was Fallon then? What was happening in your world?
So the beauty of my story is that it was peak pandemic in the middle of 2020. And I think that that does make the story a little unique. I mean, also the most unique part of my story and this moment of us togetherness is the full circleness. And I think that that is something that obviously will come through in the conversation. It just feels so beautiful that we get to be here and share this moment together because there really is so much to speak to. But in 2020, I was just chilling. I was living my life. I was yoga teaching. I had just gone online with my business. Like every other yoga teacher, we had to pivot and reclaim just a place to share our magic and show up for our community. And I definitely was someone who, I don't want to say enjoyed the pandemic, but I was in a place of just feeling really grounded in who I was. Um, I was living in Crown Point. You and I were just becoming best friends, which I
Yeah.
think is also so adorable. Like you said, you would come to my 4 p.m. class, and I literally remember the class would be packed. There wouldn't be room, but I'd be like, Gianna is here. Obviously, we're making room for this magical human. There's always room for Gianna. So I remember that part of the journey. And yeah, we were just becoming friends, and it was a beautiful time. And just I feel like not that I felt invincible and not that I felt on top of the world, but I kind of did. And I was also, I think, slightly just cruising by. And I don't know that without this next chapter, I don't know that I would have really allowed myself to evolve the way that I have. So I always say that what I went through was a beautiful opportunity for me to be broken open into the next extension of who I was always meant to become.
Uh, I just get chills when I hear you say that because I have watched that journey for you. And yes, you were shining bright light before this event happened, but to watch you have grown from that, yes, like you said, full circle to where we are now. Just thinking back to that time, had we have known like where you would be now, our minds would have just been blown. It was just such a transition for you in your life. And I love it. So take us through what happened. What was happening that day, and what was the challenge you were met with at the time?
So I was definitely someone who took COVID more conservatively and spent a lot of time at home. And I remember just there was an event at one of our favorite local yoga studios. And I was kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone to go to this event because one of my friends was also playing music. And I have this vivid memory of myself, like looking in the mirror, putting on my outfit, and just I can remember not washing my hair and being like, oh, I should wash my hair, but I'm just going out for a quickie. Um, and yeah, I really believed that I would be home within the next hour. And it's just like pretty incredible when you can remember those like intimate moments that you when you spend with yourself, having absolutely no idea how much your life is about to change. So I can even picture myself putting on my sparkly helmet, looking in the mirror, and just like I'm wearing my cute little Be Kind Vibes crop top, cut off jean shorts. And yeah, so I get on my scooter and I'm heading to OB from Crown Point. And I'm just like being on my Vespa scooter was such an empowering experience and such a liberating experience. It was like I feel like I was able to like drop into a meditative like flow just because you're so in the zone and not in a way where I didn't feel like I wasn't actively an active participant as a driver on the road. Like I've always felt very confident with my driving skills. But anyway, so we are driving to OB. It's a beautiful day. And I get off the exit, if you live in San Diego, just to the SeaWorld Drive, I believe it's called. Anyway, that detail does not matter. But yeah, I'm just driving, minding my own business in the flow, and there's a driver. I can remember the driver just, it all happens so fast as it does. So the driver just pulls up basically beside me in a one lane road. And it wasn't like I dramatically got hit by a car, but I just get like hit from the side in a way where I could see it all happening. It like all happened so fast, but at the same time it happened in slow motion. And immediately I'm taken down by this and I literally like I'm pretty dramatic when I say it feels like I was a tumbleweed on the ground for like a mile, like going like 20 or 30 times, but it probably only happened where I have no idea, but like rolled like 3 or 5 times until it was just like a standstill and I stopped. I'm in the middle of the road and I mean, the road is actually even just like it's a busy road. So there's other cars too. And I mean, the driver doesn't stop. That's kind of like, in my opinion, like that was the hardest kind of pill to swallow. So I'm left there on the side of the road and I just like pop myself up into a seat and I'm like not even sure what just happened, but I just remember feeling so I felt embarrassed. I felt shame. I felt just left alone. And then I just watched all these drivers continue to pass me as I sit there with my sparkly helmet and my broken tooth. And I'm just like trying to digest and figure out what happened to me. Like literally, my mind is having a hard time just kind of like grasping. And then, I mean, this is like, there was a few angels that showed up for me this day. And the first angel was a man who's experiencing homelessness, who picked up my bike and he came up to me and asked me if I wanted, oh no, I asked him to get me my phone. So he got me my phone from my bike. And then I was able to call my husband, who was then my boyfriend, and he was on his way. And like right after him, I don't think I'd ever called you before, but I call you and you actually pick up your phone and which is like a miracle in itself because we know as yoga teachers, our phones are always on Do Not Disturb. And so I had this feeling of emptiness and just feeling so isolated and abandoned that immediately shifted into feeling so incredibly supported the way both my husband and you showed up for me on the side of the road that day, followed by obviously ambulance and a fire truck.
Wow. It's so incredible hearing it through your lens, because we showed up like at that point, but it's just so, so interesting hearing those little pieces of like you getting ready that day and like your hair and like deciding, should I wash it? Should I not wash it? And all these little factors that would then like play into like the rest of that day for you, maybe perhaps the rest of the next few months. Um, yeah, so we showed up and yeah, and just like you had explained it, like that's you were there. You were there on the side of the road and we, helped Matt, encouraged to call the ambulance because it definitely looked like you were injured and you were in a lot of pain, like trying to move you. So it felt like the ambulance were there within 2 seconds. It was like Matt called the ambulance and like immediately the sirens were there. And I was so happy about that. Um, and I did notice that your tooth was chipped because you mentioned that. So I took it upon myself. I'm like, I wonder if I look around on the ground if I would find her tooth. It was such a random thought. And I did.
You did. I
And
do not. I love this part of the story. How did that happen? That is like there's like one miracle after another.
it's definitely a tiny snippet of the story, but it happened and it happened. And then I gently placed your tooth in Matt's hand. And I'm like, I don't know if you need this. I don't know what I was thinking either. But I do remember the ambulance door closing and the license plate was 222 on the back. And that made me feel like, okay, she's going to be safe. She's going to be with angels. But like you mentioned, and I'll let you like further discuss this, we're going to go into like more details. But yes, it was COVID. So Matt couldn't ride in the ambulance with you. He couldn't even go with you. Nobody could be with you in the hospital. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think that that kind of like escalated my healing process in the end because
Yeah.
I like was able to convince the doctors and nurses that I no longer needed to be at the hospital just because I wanted to go home. But at the same time, like I never felt so completely alone because I immediately, I think you even created a, right away it was online and people were
Mm,
looking for the driver. So I never felt alone from that point forward just because I was
yeah.
so embraced by my community. Like people showed up for me in so many ways. Like I literally just remember waking up from surgery to so many messages, like whether it was on Instagram or just through text. And I felt so seen and so safe and so much love. And like that really overwhelmed me in the best way possible. Like I felt like my
Yeah.
hospital room, although I was alone, was flooding with unconditional love. And that totally, I think, was what kickstarted like the way in which I was able to respond to this situation. Just
Yeah.
because from the minute it all happened, it was just like I've never been so supported in my whole life. And like I don't hope anyone else goes through this experience, but I do hope that everyone has the opportunity to feel that kind of support that I was able to receive in that moment. I also want to say, like when we were sitting on the side of the road, I have a very vivid memory of like you said, we were trying to move me off to the side of the road. And at one point I just like asked you, I was like, can I lean back on you? And like I remember that, like I'm just like, I can't imagine, first of all, a better person that I would have called that would have been able to show up for me in that moment. And at the same time, I think that that moment really showed me like how powerful it is to ask for help and to ask for what you need and to be willing to receive it like when you need the support. And I think so many people have a challenging time asking for help, like asking for little things like that. Like, can I lean on you? Like, I'm so proud of that version of myself that like opened herself up to receive your love and your support. And yeah, you really did feel like an earth angel, like you and Eric. It was so beautiful and so forever endlessly grateful.
Oh, I love that detail so much. I actually like had forgotten about that. And yeah, the fact that you bring that up and then just like the symbology like of what that meant for you just to ask for help and to be, let ourselves be vulnerable also. And really that's the whole point of this podcast is like to share our stories so that we do know that we're not alone and that we can ask for help and lean on somebody for support. I'm so grateful that I was there for you. I'm trying to like not cry while I'm saying this, but thank you for sharing that. It's such a powerful point and message for listeners, like asking for help and just being able to trust that support that's there for you. Okay, so what happens next? Or take us through, you will, like what happened? What were your injuries and what happened and how did that change your life? Or how did your life change from that point?
My injuries were a fractured pelvis, and I also had mentioned that I was dressed in my cute crop top and denim shorts, which left me covered in road rash. And I have to say, like, that's what stands out to me as the most painful part of my experience was the road rash. But as we know, my mother, Linda Lev, is the just most nurturing, loving, wonderful human. She showed up for me and came to my house and took care of me, washing my bandages and just like totally washing my hair. Like she just took care of me like in such a beautiful way. And to be able to receive her support was kind of the next part of my story that really stands out and just how we were living in a studio room, her, my husband, two dogs, and it was such a beautiful time that I know I will forever cherish. And I just feel like so grateful to have had the experience just because of what it really showed me and allowed me to move through. And that comes back to just, yeah, the vulnerability factor was probably the biggest lesson of my experience and allowing myself to be exposed. I showcased every part of my journey. Like I started documenting every doctor visit, like every milestone. I think that really helped me. So I always encourage people, like you spoke to, just to really share your story and to lean into community and allow yourself to be supported. And the more you can just be honest with what you're feeling and your experience, the more people are able to relate and connect to you. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all craving is just human connection. So yeah, my injuries, I wouldn't say have been debilitating. Like I didn't walk for 3 months and literally my legs did not move. That was a wild experience. But I was told by doctors that I would walk again. So that kind of the timeline of being able to walk in 6 months and then do yoga in a year really gave me the confidence that I needed to believe that healing was possible. And I was able to really kind of drop in and enjoy the experience of watching the human body work its magic because there's nothing quite like it to see like where I was and how much growth and healing that I went through over the course of a year. Um, I do remember believe or thinking like being in that hospital bed, like the hardest part for me was I really did trust the doctors. And I think that's also something that I did really well. Like I trusted in Western medicine and I had a really good relationship with every doctor, physical therapist. I was seeing a chiropractor. Like I believed in my own healing. And I think that that's something that some people do find challenging, understandably, but it's such an empowering way to be in relationship to your body. So the healing physically, I felt confident with. But my biggest concern was like you said, before this accident, I was shining bright. I was shining my light. It's who I was. I'm like a naturally very optimistic, positive person. It's just in my blood. Um, but this accident definitely rocked me, and my biggest fear was losing that light. and not being able to like come back to my sense of self and not being able to remember my power. So for me, that was like my biggest concern was really just like losing that sense of self.
We definitely overcame that fear, that's for sure.
Yes, we did. Proud about it.
So I just wanted to ask you if it's okay if you could just kind of paint a little picture for listeners, because I was there and I know what that 3 month period of not walking and beyond, it wasn't just the 3 months, it was a process. But what did that look like for you in your home and your situation? Just to paint the little picture for people listening, because she's a badass, and I just like want you to know that while she wasn't walking, like what was happening that time.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. So we had a hospital bed in the middle of my studio. So it literally was like my queen size bed, a hospital bed, and then a couch that my mom would sleep on. And it was very cozy, quite intimate. And I had doctors come or nurses coming in daily. I had so many beautiful friends sending me gifts and meals that like just felt like medicine for my soul. I literally would get so happy anytime there was a package. Like I hope everyone knows, like even I think I did a pretty damn good job of like showering my friends with gratitude and making sure everyone felt recognized. But if I did forget to thank you, and I love you. Um, but yeah, so every single day, it was like Groundhog's Day a little bit. But I will say what really helped and supported me was I showered. And by shower, I mean my mother bathed me lying down with like a warm cloth with soap and washed my hair in like a tub. So everything I did was lying down, yes, including going to the bathroom, which like I feel like was always people's like biggest question or concern, like how did you go to the bathroom? And that was, yes, quite the ordeal. But we made it work. And I look at those moments and I just like look, I like from like a bird's eye view, I just think that I'm so proud of the experience and how my team came together and how we were able to overcome a really challenging time in our life and actually make it quite beautiful. Like we played cards, I remember watching Schitt's Creek like over and over. Um, my mom was always cooking. Like there was just so much love in the home. There was so much, yeah, unconditional love. And like that's what I remember more than anything, like more than the pain. Yes, it was really challenging at points. Like I remember having to wake up every 2 hours to like move my body side to side so I wouldn't get any like pain sores. I'm sure you can remember that, but just like yeah, there were definitely challenging times, but where my memory is kind of latching onto is just like how much love was in this home. And yeah, that's what's carried me and that's what really helped guide me and heal me and encourage me to continue to move forward.
That's so beautiful. There was so much love in that home. And huge shout out to your mom, Mama Lev. That's what I call her. She was incredible through that whole time. So was Maddie. And yes, your community really showed up for you throughout that time. And it was just such a beautiful thing to witness. Like it was throughout the holidays as well. I remember coming over for Christmas and like Mama Lev like cooking. And it was just such yeah, you made it work. And I think that's like leading into like my next question, which was like, how did you overcome it? How did you move through it? I feel like that's kind of like has been that answer for you. It was like just the love that was surrounding you. And I love that, I was there during that time and a witness of it. And the fact that for you remember the love more than the pain that was happening is just such a testament to like you and your heart and your how much expansion was happening throughout you through that time. And I do want to say I'm like she's a badass, like she was recording yoga classes from her hospital bed and like posting them out. We were all like taking your yoga class still while you were laying in a hospital bed. She was still like being you. And that's why you didn't let your light dim, and that you were able to really move through such a challenging time. And it was so inspiring for all of us to witness that for you. So thank you for sharing your journey so candidly and so vulnerably with us. And Fallon has an amazing social media presence. So if you did ever want to check out, her story, you can always go back and witness and see that. Um, so my next question is, how did this affect or change your life? What happened from there?
Well, I actually think it started with kind of what you were just saying. Like, I think me teaching from my bed, and this is going to sound a little selfish, but I think in that moment, I was doing it more for me than I was for my community because it was bringing me back into my sense of self. I've been teaching yoga for 10 years. I needed that. Like, I couldn't move, which as a yoga teacher, that is like the last thing you could possibly want, but I still had my voice and I still had my heart. And that was what allowed me to connect to my community. And I also remember like getting dressed every day. I would put on a crop top, I would put on earrings, and I just did what I needed to do in order to feel like my sense of self. And once I was able to stand up, I slowly started to, I wouldn't say, yeah, just like do different embodiment practices that allowed me to come back into relationship with my body. And dancing in the mirror was really big for me. So I started dancing in the mirror and I continued to showcase this part of my healing journey. It's a little cringe when I look back on these reels, but I think it was a beautiful opportunity for my community to see me in this light. And again, it was me really leaning into the power of vulnerability. But so once I started dancing, and then I was always just like dressing up, trying on clothes. Clothes have always been a big part of who I am and just like a creative outlet. So then I started selling these clothes. So I would take videos and I was doing story sales weekly. And this was such a beautiful way for me to A, have an income, but B, just to really kind of expand my self-expression. And this naturally evolved into me becoming a stylist and then starting to personal shop for other people. So my journey is so organic and so intuitive. Like I love how it all unfolded without me having really any like say in it. It just sort of happened from my experience, what helped me, and then how I thought that I could help others. So I continue to just trust and lean into that. And my business has continued to evolve. I now style photo shoots. Like you said, I'm a personal branding coach, and it's all just kind of like bled into one another. And at the core of it, it comes from a place of wanting to help other people feel empowered because my biggest concern being losing my light, I want to help other women just remember who the fuck they are and make sure that they don't feel like that sense of emptiness or that fear of not knowing. And it's totally normal to have that fear, to feel like it's really hard to lose yourself when you go through. I think a lot of women who've gone through pregnancy can relate. Like when you go through any type of big life shift, it's really hard to stay grounded in who you are. And having those tools and ways in which you can empower yourself to move through any experience just with that strong sense of self, that's what I want to help other women know that they can always trust and lean on is just who they are from the inside out. And that's going to carry you forward. And we always have that within us. Like every yoga teacher that said, like, you have everything that you need on the inside. It's so true. Literally every cliche thing that every yoga teacher has ever said is like the biggest, boldest truth.
Right. It's just like when we're ready to hear it.
Exactly.
It's just been so amazing watching you grow. And you tried on many hats throughout that time too. And, you were so incredibly just open with your journey and vulnerable with it. And that's what I love about your story so much is like, it was so organic. When you said that, I was like, yeah, it really was. Her journey is so organic because you're like, I don't know, I'm just doing this and I'm going to put myself out there in this way until you found your little niche, and just watching you do that and grow from there is been incredible. You did mention pregnant women. um, I did want to say that it's not just the two of us in this conversation today, and Fallon is with child.
I'm sorry, I thought
And
you were about to tell me you were pregnant.
no, no, it's not just the two of us. It's three. It's Fallon is with child, and
Yes.
we're so blessed to be in the presence of not just Fallon, but your baby angel.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love that we're bringing her into the conversation, especially because, when I first woke up from my surgery, one of the first things the surgeon said was that I wouldn't be able to have a vaginal birth. And I remember that like crushing my soul because at that point, it really felt like someone had taken something away from me that was meant to be mine. And 5 years later, I'm, yes, very grateful and happy to share that I'm 6 months pregnant and expecting our baby girl in June. And I will be having a C-section. And I'm just totally at peace with this part of my story. And I know a lot of people want to know why a C-section, and that's because I do still have hardware in my pelvis that I'm incredibly grateful for. Like, I don't look at it as like something that's been taken away from me now. Like, I'm so grateful for what my body went through and how we've healed, and that I still have the privilege and opportunity to bring life into the world. Like, it's just a mindset that I feel so anchored in and like fully behind that it's allowed me to, yeah, really just like fall in love with my own story and to fall in love with my own journey. Like, that's the thing. If you get held back by your stories and you let them like pull you down, like, of course, that's natural and normal. But at the same time, we have the ability to choose a different perspective and allow our stories to really propel us forward into the person that we've always been meant to become. And I truly believe that that's part of my story. And yeah, I get to bring a baby into the world and become a mom, and it just feels like the greatest gift.
And it truly is so full circle from everything that happened, like everything that we've talked about today. Like, just we talked about your mom and just the love there and how much support and how much she showed up for you. And just the love between you and her, anyway, is incredible, and your bond. And now the fact that you get to, like, you felt like that was taken away from you for a moment, but now you shifted that story, and here you are about to give birth to your own child where you get to have that experience as well. And um, I just think it's such a beautiful, thank you for sharing that too. About, I wasn't sure if we were going to go there today, and I wanted to, let that unfold naturally. And so I'm just so glad it did, because it's such an important message out there for women as well. And it's like, it's your body, and what you choose to do with it in that way is up to you. So I'm so happy to hear that you like got your closure on that piece too, because I do remember you telling me that after the accident that you wouldn't be able to do vaginal birth, and I remember like you feeling sad about that. So when I heard you were pregnant, I cried. I was in Australia when I heard you were pregnant. I was just sobbing. It was early in the morning, and Erica's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Bella is pregnant." Such a big deal. So that is incredible. Fallon, if I could ask you a few more questions, what was the biggest thing that you learned from this? Like, what was your medicine? You have definitely shared it, in the work that you're doing now, but if you could, like, what is one of the main or, lessons that impacted you that you would share with others?
The biggest lesson for me was to really open myself up to both give and receive love unconditionally, and to be seen in your most authentic expression, and to trust in that being more than enough. I really believe that the community was a huge factor as to why I had such a positive experience with my healing. So, allowing yourself to receive the support that you need, be willing to ask for help, be willing to be seen in your imperfection. And it's so interesting because everything I'm sharing right now, like, is relative to someone going through a healing journey, but also for someone who's going through the experience of wanting to be seen in their self-expression online. Like, there's so much resistance and there's so many different reasons to keep yourself small or to feel stuck. But the minute you can really open yourself up to just being seen in your most authentic expression, the more love you're going to be available to receive. And I was just blown away by how much love can truly empower your healing experience. Like I said, I just remember feeling love. And at the end of the day, I think that's all we human beings want to feel. And the more you can be open to love, like, the more you're going to be able to experience the fullness of life.
Boom. Mic drop to that. So
Boom.
beautifully said. So beautifully said too. And it's true because it is the human connection. How much we do want to feel that love, but close ourselves off to it at times. And so this is just such a beautiful example of like that give and receive, like you said, and just letting that love flow through, letting ourselves be loved because we deserve it and we're worthy of it. Is there any other last words that you would like to say before we close this incredible conversation today?
Well, I think the world of you, and I think what you're doing is so incredible and so important. I think to provide people a platform and a space to feel safe and empowered to use their voice and to share their story is not only empowering for themselves but for other people, because at the end of the day we just want to know that we're not alone. And the more you can share your real raw truth, the more people are going to be feel safe to share their own. And yeah, it's all about connection and how you can help support each other, how we can help support each other in this lifetime, because there's going to be highs and lows, and it's just one big, beautiful roller coaster. So allow yourself the gift of being seen in your journey, in your raw and perfect self. And yeah, just like buckle up and enjoy the process and let your path unfold before you. But yeah, I think that this space and this platform that you're creating for other humans to share their story is going to be just a beautiful gift to your listeners and as well as to all of your guests. So thank you for being you.
Thank you, Fallon. That means so much to us, and we are just so grateful to have had you share your inspiring story today. I cannot wait to share it. I did want to mention that Fallon truly is like the queen of social media and branding. I have had the opportunity and experience to work with her. She was my coach for 30 days, and I just gained so much. I learned so much from her. Her approach is just so soft and just empowering and beautiful. And you really do help people shine their lights. And literally I feel so seen by you. I felt so seen by you through that time, and like she just makes people feel so special in her presence. So if you are looking for an incredible coach to help you in that way, I would highly recommend Miss Fallon the Queen. Fallon, how can people find you?
Thank you for that reflection. It was the best supporting you. I loved every single second of it. I'm on Instagram all day, every day, Fallon Lev, all things Fallon Lev. Instagram, Facebook. I don't really use TikTok, but email if you want to connect. If there's any way in which I can support you on your healing journey, feel free to send me a DM. I love, love, love connecting to my community. And that's my medicine. Yeah, just creating that human connection.
It really is your medicine. Such a powerful medicine, too. Well, thank you so much, my love. What an honor. I am so grateful to have you here. And Yeah, we'll share all your details. And thank you for listening. Talk
Bye.
to you soon.
Stay tuned for more incredible stories from amazing humans. We appreciate your support so much. Please subscribe, share this podcast with your favorite people, and consider giving us a 5-star review. Thank you so much. We love you.